The zombie husky was impaled by vines, but the zombie cub inside her tore open its mother's belly and absorbed all her energy, completing its evolution. Just as it was about to open its eyes, Duan Fei quickly scooped it up, afraid of missing the moment the beast opened its eyes and became its master. It turned out that just after dealing with the husky, the original species staggered to its feet, looking at Duan Fei with a mocking smile. "You've become smarter, haven't you, despicable human?" "Same here," the original species said confidently, puzzled. "What? You think you can kill me?" Duan Fei sneered. "That's what I should be asking you." Provoked, the original species unleashed thousands of vines from behind, but their speed was much slower than before. Moreover, with Duan Fei's level 2 detection ability, he almost completely avoided all attacks without taking damage. The original species was instantly enraged, its anger surging. Duan Fei was dumbfounded to see it frantically absorbing the energy of the Yuan crystal. It actually had hidden power. The next instant, a blood-red lotus bloomed on the female zombie's body, unleashing an aura of destruction that multiplied her strength and agility exponentially. If struck by these poisonous vines, Duan Fei wasn't sure if he'd die instantly, so he could only accelerate to his maximum speed and rush towards the edge of the crater. But instead, a vine of poisonous thorns appeared before him. "Super strong. You think I'd let you escape a second time?" The stabbing attack struck Duan Fei again, immediately trapping him in a stalemate. Even Jera, watching from the sidelines, exclaimed in admiration. Even with Duan Fei's exceptional perception, he couldn't simultaneously evade two large-scale attacks within a limited area. However, just as the thorns were about to pierce Duan Fei's brain, the female zombie suddenly stopped a millimeter from his pupils, immediately vomiting blood. Then, tearing sounds echoed from her limbs, and she collapsed unexpectedly before Duan Fei. What happened? Was her exhausted body unable to withstand the primal energy released by the original species? What a pathetic tool. As the original species launched a desperate counterattack, Duan Fei easily parried its last gasp by holding his dagger horizontally in front of him. Then, Duan Fei cut through the remaining obstacles, striking directly at the heart of the enemy, severing the original species' legs with a swift motion. However, just as it fell to the ground, the vines in his hand launched a sudden attack. As the saying goes, a spent arrow is slow, and this was far too slow. With that, Duan Fei pressed his dagger against the female zombie's pupil, then swiftly thrust upwards. The original species, determined to win, launched a final, desperate attack, but it was still slain by Duan Fei's single strike. At this moment, endless regret enveloped the original species. It was merely a guardian, or perhaps a tool, created by the UNZ intelligence. This was Duan Fei's feeling. He completely understood. As long as the one protecting them wasn't dead, the fight wouldn't stop. At the same time, Duan Fei's dagger was held behind the original species' head, and with a final, decisive blow, Duan Fei ended the female zombie's tragic life. The system notified Duan Fei that he had gained 100 evolution points by killing an ape. Duan Fei hadn't expected such a pleasant surprise, but then he thought, if every original species had such a troublesome guardian, how difficult would the upcoming battles be? However, obtaining the original species was a close call, and Xinyue would soon be able to stand up again. The moment Duan Fei touched the original species, his internal evolution tree reacted. Using Chief Duan Fei as a medium, Yuanli suddenly surged into his body, nourishing and purifying him, and miraculously healing Duan Fei's injuries. At this moment, Duan Fei was certain that with it, Xinyue would awaken her latent abilities. Just as Duan Fei was about to leave, the dead beast behind him, suddenly the husky began to wriggle. This was bad news. Strangely, the sound came from the husky's abdomen. The moment Duan Fei approached, the wriggling intensified, and with a plop, blood splattered everywhere. Duan Fei was immediately stunned. How could this be? This dead beast had actually given birth to cubs. In the early stages of the apocalypse, these creatures clearly lack the ability to reproduce. And it seems this little guy has absorbed all the energy from its mother. Rare, extremely rare. Duan Fei quickly seized this unexpected joy. These early-stage beast cubs are very easy to tame. The moment it sees me, it will treat me as family and be absolutely loyal. The little cub, its eyes opened, actually licked Duan Fei's face. It couldn't be easier. This little guy will definitely be a formidable force in the future. I must lift him high. How about I call you Jinbao from now on? So, Duan Fei put the sleeping Jinbao and Yuanzhong into his backpack. Now he had to get home before nightfall. On his journey, the primal force emanating from the original species immediately attracted the attention of many zombies. Even with Duan Fei's speed, the primal force always left a trace in the air. And now it was nighttime, when zombies were at their most numerous and troublesome. The original species was a tempting target for these zombies, especially since the lost creature had absorbed its energy all night. Some of the zombies had already begun to evolve, but then the ground rumbled, as if a colossal beast lurked beneath. Duan Fei had thought taking a secluded route would avoid the zombies, but he had inadvertently fallen right into the clutches of several monstrous creatures, and these were social creatures after all. Duan Fei knew that continuing the fight would be pointless. He needed to find a safe place to hide and hold out until daylight. Meanwhile, in an abandoned factory not far away, a girl was offering words of comfort to the female officer. "Go rest after class, sis. You haven't slept much since the zombies appeared." At that moment, a loud commotion suddenly erupted outside the factory. Through binoculars, a man was seen running wildly across the plain. "Zero, call Old Lee immediately. They're preparing to attack. There are survivors nearby." The more Duan Fei observed, the stranger it seemed. Why was this man faster than the potato-like monstrous beasts, and yet still able to weave through 5 rat-like monstrous creatures? Who was this guy? Various questions swirled in his mind. Immediately, Lin Wenhui's report flashed through Duan Fei's mind. Old Li and the others were armed and ready to go at any moment. At that moment, Duan Fei, unaware of the presence of anyone in the factory, simply wanted to find a safe place to stay. Suddenly, the rodent-like beast behind him lunged at him. In that split second, Duan Fei squeezed through the iron gate, the rodent-like beast crashing into the fence and being stopped outside. Simultaneously, the original species in Duan Fei's backpack, drained of energy, gradually dissipated. Finally, Duan Fei arrived at the underground parking garage. He definitely wouldn't be able to go back tonight, but for now he was temporarily safe. Duan Fei opened his backpack and saw that the original species was gone, leaving only Jinbao lying inside. Had Jinbao absorbed it? At that moment, the system notified him that the gene energy decomposition was successful and was beginning to be stored, but as his body throbbed with pain, he angrily cried out, "The evolutionary tree! You did this!" But the pain in his body intensified, just like during the last cell recombination session. "It's starting to tear. What's going on? Could it be that the power of the Yuan energy was fed back into my body by the purification technique, causing me to scream in pain?" It seemed as if the surging energy within him was about to explode. Just at the critical moment of Duan Fei's breakthrough, the wall of the underground parking garage was dug through by a rat-like beast. The huge noise woke up the sleepy Jinbao. When the smoke cleared, 5 giant rats lined up in front of Duan Fei.